Chosen one, do not move your finger. Do not scroll past this message today. I need you to stop and hear my voice right now. This specific moment on your screen is not the result of a random algorithm. It is not a coincidence that you are hearing these exact words. Heaven has literally bent the rules of time to place this urgent message directly in your path. If you skip this, you are walking away from the shift heaven orchestrated. Breathe slowly for a moment. You are safe here. But there is a massive spiritual emergency happening around your finances. You have been frantically trying to fix your situation using earthly methods. You are exhausted from pushing doors that will not open, and I must tell you a truth that will shock your logical mind. Right now, looking for a normal job is the absolute worst thing you could do for your destiny. Before I explain why, I need you to unclench your jaw. Let your heavy shoulders fall down. The heaviness you woke up with today is not natural. It is an alarm bell ringing in the unseen realm. You feel it in the air, don't you? That invisible tension that follows you through every single hour of the day. The quiet and persistent pressure in your chest makes you feel like something is terribly wrong. You are not losing your mind. I saw you last night. I saw you sitting on the edge of the bed when the whole house was quiet. You were staring at the dark walls and feeling the crushing weight of bills. You swallowed your tears because you had to be strong for everyone else in the morning. No one sees how close you are to breaking, but I do. I count every silent tear that falls when you think you are entirely alone. You are carrying too much. You are tired of being the strong one. You are so exhausted from bleeding to prove you care about providing for your family. You calculate numbers in your head until your vision blurs. You wonder how you will survive another month with the resources you currently have. Every time your phone rings, your heart races with the fear of bad news. The anxiety is eating away at your physical body and your daily peace. And so, you panic. You rush out into the world trying to find any source of income to plug the holes. You beg for opportunities that are beneath your royal calling. You send out your resume and pray for people to just give you a chance to work hard. You think that if you just work harder, you can finally escape this suffocating poverty. But the doors keep slamming in your face every time you try. Every rejection feels like a personal attack. You start to blame yourself. You look in the mirror and you ask what is wrong with you. You wonder if God is angry with you. You wonder if this delay is a punishment for some mistake you made in your past. You feel a deep shame because you cannot seem to provide the way you want to. You feel like a massive failure. But I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. That shame does not belong to you. Your unanswered prayers for a regular paycheck were not a rejection from the Father. Your exhaustion is not a sign of weak faith. You are standing at the wrong counter and begging for scraps of what is already yours. The system of this world wants to keep you trapped in a cycle of endless labor, but you were not created to just survive and pay bills until you die. You are the rightful heir. An inheritance of massive proportions has already been deeded to your name, but you have been acting like a peasant in your father's house. You have been looking for an employer when heaven is looking for an inheritor. A servant works for wages, but a son or daughter simply receives the estate. You are blocking your own blessing by trying to earn it with your sweat and tears. Stay with me. Do not let the distraction of your current circumstances pull your eyes away from what I am revealing. I know the bills are real. I know the threat of hunger feels terrifying, but you must trust the architecture of this divine delay. The closed doors were my fierce protection. In the next few moments, I will show you exactly what happens in the spiritual realm when you finally stop trying to hire yourself out. Let me speak to something very tender right now, something you have carried quietly for so long. Breathe slowly with me. I want to talk about the physical pain of your financial panic. You feel it deep in your bones. The stress is no longer just a thought in your mind, but it has become a heavy blanket that wraps around your body every single morning. I see exactly what happens when the sun goes down and the rest of the house falls into a deep sleep, but your mind begins to race with terrifying speed. You stare at the shadows on the ceiling. You calculate the exact amount you need to survive the next 30 days. Your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped bird because you cannot find any peace. You desperately try to force your eyes closed. You pray for just a few hours of rest to face tomorrow, but sleep refuses to come to a nervous system locked in pure survival mode, and then the morning arrives. You pull yourself out of bed with heavy limbs, and you put on a brave smile for the people who depend on you. You pretend everything is fine, but inside your stomach is constantly tied in painful knots. You sit down in front of a glowing screen to look for a job. You force yourself to type out your resume for the 100th time. You are begging strangers to see your value. You apply for positions that crush your soul just to secure a paycheck, and you compromise your royal dignity for simple survival. And then you wait in the agonizing silence. You check your email every single hour. You jump every time your phone makes a sound. But the inbox remains empty, and the phone never rings with good news. When the rejection finally comes, it feels like a physical blow to your chest. The polite emails telling you they chose someone else absolutely destroy your fragile hope. Listen to me closely right now. I know how much that rejection burns inside you. I know how it makes you want to curl up and hide. Every closed door makes you feel smaller. You start to believe the lie that you are not good enough, and you wonder if you have permanently lost your edge. You feel like a discarded vessel with no purpose. Then the mail arrives. You see the envelopes with the red lettering. The final notices and the overdue warnings pile up on your table. You do the math over and over again, but the numbers simply do not add up. There is always more month at the end of your money, and a cold sweat breaks out on the back of your neck. You feel a suffocating shame when you look at your family. You wanted to give them a life of absolute abundance. You wanted to be the strong provider who never had to say no to their needs. And now you feel like you are failing them completely. You hide the bills so they do not see your panic, and you suffer in complete silence because you do not want to burden them. I saw you break down in your car last week. You gripped the steering wheel and finally let the tears fall. You screamed out to heaven in total frustration. You asked why looking for a job has to be this impossibly hard. You asked why I would abandon you now. You felt like your prayers were hitting a ceiling of solid brass. Hold that thought right there. Do not skip this next sentence. I am speaking directly to your broken heart today. I need you to know that I collected every single tear you cried in that dark car. Your deep pain is not invisible to me. I felt the exact physical ache in your chest when that last rejection email arrived, and you have never been abandoned. You are incredibly tired of being a survivor. You are sick of fighting tooth and nail just to afford the basic necessities of life. You feel like a wounded soldier who has been left behind in enemy territory. But the exhaustion you feel is the final symptom of an old season. The wilderness is breaking you down so that you can no longer rely on your own limited strength. The desperation of looking for a job is a carefully designed trap. It is a cycle meant to keep your eyes focused on the muddy ground. When you are constantly worrying about rent, you cannot see the glorious horizon. You cannot step into the massive calling I have prepared for you. And that is exactly why I had to forcefully shut those specific doors in your face. Let me show you the unseen truth behind your current struggle. You have been calling yourself a failure because no one will hire you, and you look at your empty hands feeling a deep shame. But I need you to completely erase that word from your vocabulary today. You are not incompetent. The severe blockage in your life has absolutely nothing to do with your personal abilities. I want you to understand the specific architecture of this moment. Every single time a company rejected your application, heaven was actively intervening. You thought it was a terrible disaster. You cried because you desperately needed the money. But those closed doors were actually my fierce protection over your life, and I am deliberately shutting every single small door you try to pry open. Why would I block you from making an honest living? Listen to me very carefully right now. If I had allowed you to get that earthly job, you would have settled for a tiny paycheck. You would have traded your massive destiny for simple survival, and the enemy would have kept you distracted with endless labor while your true inheritance sat untouched in the spiritual realm. Breathe out that heavy guilt right now. Your unanswered prayers for employment were never a rejection of your worth. You thought I was silent because you were broken, but I was busy violently sweeping your future clean. The delay was never a punishment for some invisible mistake, but rather it was my divine timing working to position you for massive wealth. You must stop trying to squeeze your royal calling into a tiny cubicle. You are the cycle breaker for your entire bloodline. You were not born to clock in and out for a system that drains your soul. Heaven is causing this extreme discomfort to force you out of the slave mindset, because you cannot carry the mentality of a peasant into the upcoming harvest. A petitioner stands at a dusty counter and desperately bargains for wages. An heir walks through the wide door of the estate and simply receives what is theirs. You have been agonizing over a job, but I have been preparing a kingdom. The brutal deadlock you are experiencing is simply the terrifying transition between those two drastically different realities. Stay with me and do not skim the next sentence. The physical exhaustion you feel is the direct result of this holy compression. Your nervous system is incredibly overwhelmed by the massive shift happening in the unseen realm, and you are holding the tension of a completely new identity. That is why you feel a heavy fog in your mind lately. You forget things easily, and your thoughts feel like thick mud. You assume this brain fog means you are losing your edge, but that physiological weight is just your human vessel bracing for a miracle. Your two hemispheres are stretching under the intense pressure of waiting for your arrival season, which means you are absolutely not broken, but just heavily loaded. I am dismantling your self-reliance piece by painful piece. As long as you could provide for yourself, you would never truly surrender. You would always trust your own sweat more than my grace. But now you have literally nothing left in your own hands. And that empty space is exactly where my supernatural provision can finally begin to flow like a river into your life. This is the beautiful paradigm shift I am requiring of you today. You must officially resign from the exhausting position of being your own savior. You are the tired caregiver who has carried the world for far too long. Let the heavy armor fall off your aching back, because the desperate search for a regular paycheck ends right here in this sacred room. From this exact moment forward, the burden of your survival is no longer yours to carry. You are stepping into a profound spiritual alignment. Let the incredible relief wash over your tired body right now. You do not have to figure out the next step, but you only need to stand still and watch heaven move on your behalf. Let me take you deeper into the quiet room of your mind. I need to speak directly to the heavy guilt that is crushing your chest right now. You have swallowed a bitter lie about your own worth. You look at your empty hands and feel a profound sense of shame. You truly believe that your current financial drought is entirely your fault. Every time you look at your bank account, a cruel voice whispers in your ear. It tells you that you are simply not trying hard enough. It accuses you of completely failing your family. You lay awake and replay every mistake you ever made in your past. You convince yourself that heaven is actively punishing you for a lack of faith. That toxic guilt makes you physically sick to your stomach. You walk around with your head down because you feel like a massive burden to the people you love. You watch others succeed and build wealth effortlessly, and you wonder why you are cursed to struggle so violently just to afford the most basic necessities. You feel completely broken. You hide this deep humiliation from your friends and your neighbors. When someone asks how you are doing, you force a bright smile and lie. You say you are just exploring new opportunities. But inside, your soul is screaming for a rescue. You are so terrified that they will discover how close you are to completely losing everything you have built. This immense shame comes from a very specific worldly mindset. You were taught from a young age that you must relentlessly sweat and bleed to put food on the table. Society convinced you that your personal value is strictly tied to your exhausting labor. You believe the heavy lie that if you do not hustle every single hour, you will starve. And so you pray like a desperate beggar at the gates of a palace. You cry out and try to fiercely bargain with me. You promise to work 80 hours a week if I would just hand you a simple job. You offer to sacrifice your physical health and your peace of mind just for a steady paycheck. You are willing to sell your royal soul. Listen to how incredibly tragic that transaction really is. You are the chosen one of the Most High, yet you are completely ready to chain yourself to a desk of absolute misery. You think that earning a meager living through intense suffering is the only honorable way to survive. You carry the terrible weight of sustaining your entire universe. This is the heavy burden of the exhausted survivor. You never allow yourself to rest because resting feels like a terrible crime. If you sit still for even 5 minutes, the panic sets in immediately. Your mind screams that you are being lazy and irresponsible. You feel an overwhelming pressure to constantly produce and grind yourself into dust. I saw the hot tears of frustration you cried just a few days ago. You looked up at the sky and asked why I was ignoring your desperate pleas for work. You asked why heaven remains completely silent while you are drowning in a sea of debt. You felt an agonizing isolation. You wondered if your prayers were just empty words bouncing back. Why would a loving father watch you weep over unpaid bills and do absolutely nothing to help you find a job? Why would heaven allow your anxiety to reach such terrifying levels without instantly dropping a paycheck into your waiting hands? This is the agonizing mystery that keeps your nervous system on fire. This is the delay breaking your heart. Stay with me now. Hold that painful question right there and do not let your mind rush ahead. The silence you are experiencing is not what you think it is. The profound delay in your financial rescue is actually hiding a massive spiritual secret. There is a specific reason why your frantic efforts to save yourself are completely failing today. You have been aggressively blaming yourself for a violent battle you did not start. You have been carrying the terrible guilt of a situation that was orchestrated by something else. The poverty attacking your bloodline is absolutely not a reflection of your worth. In the next moment, I will expose the unseen enemy trying to keep you trapped here. I need you to understand something clearly. The financial misery you feel is not natural. It is a calculated spiritual attack. You have been blaming your own lack of skills for a situation completely engineered in the dark. The heavy slave mindset that tells you to continually beg for a job was strategically planted by a very real spiritual enemy. This adversary did not target your finances because you are weak and vulnerable. He attacked your bank account because he is absolutely terrified of the massive destiny written on your life. He knows you are the true cycle breaker. He knows that if you ever step into your real wealth, you will fund the kingdom of heaven and destroy his hold on your family. So the enemy devised an incredibly cruel trap to keep you contained in poverty. He could not easily steal your royal identity, so he decided to keep you violently distracted with simple survival. He convinced you that the only honorable way to live is to sweat and bleed as a corporate slave. He made you believe that endless labor is the only path to your freedom. Think about the absolute deception of that heavy burden for a moment. If you are working 80 hours a week just to pay for basic groceries, you have no energy left to claim your massive inheritance. The enemy wants you so exhausted by the daily grind that you completely forget you are a royal heir. He wants you begging strangers for a meager paycheck. This is exactly why your desperate prayers for a normal job were blocked by heaven. I was not ignoring your tears when I remained completely silent. I was aggressively sweeping your future clean of toxic environments. The delay was my fierce protection, blocking you from a tiny cubicle that would have become your permanent prison. I am starving the slave to wake up the king. I am breaking the heavy chains of that toxic survival pattern off your mind right now. You are not a miserable beggar standing at the back door of the palace. Gently press the like button on this message as your physical yes to heaven today. Let that simple action be your official covenant that you are ready to stop fighting for scraps and start receiving your portion. The heavy spiritual warfare you have been fighting is the exact reason for your physical exhaustion. That unexplained brain fog you feel every morning is not a sign of your personal failure. It is the heavy physiological toll of an enemy trying to keep your mind completely disconnected from your spiritual authority. You have been under a brutal, unseen attack. But the absolute authority of the enemy over your finances is officially broken today. His given time is up, and his dark kingdom of lack is finally crumbling. You must stop agreeing with his cruel lies about your worth. You are the rightful heir, and the massive vault of heaven is already deeded to your specific name. You just need to change your posture immediately. Listen to my voice very carefully right now. Do not let your tired mind wander for even one single second. The immense pressure you are feeling in your chest is the threshold of your massive breakthrough. The enemy is screaming loud in your thoughts because he knows he has finally lost the long battle over your bloodline. You are about to cross over into overflow. You must lay down your heavy defense today. Stop trying to figure out how the money will practically arrive in your hands. Stop calculating the terrible math of your impossible situation. The Father is about to reveal a system of wealth that bypasses the earthly economy completely. Prepare your nervous system for the massive shock of unmerited grace that is coming. Let me bring you to the absolute edge of your current reality. You are standing at the most critical threshold of your entire existence right now. The heavy pressure in your chest is reaching a terrifying peak. You feel like you are about to completely break under the Jifu's massive financial obligations, but you are absolutely not breaking down today, because you are finally surrendering. I am issuing a strict spiritual command to your tired soul. You must drop every single weapon of self-reliance immediately. Drop the desperate resume you keep rewriting every night. Drop the frantic phone calls and the endless searches for a tiny paycheck. You cannot walk through this massive door of wealth while holding onto your heavy bags of worldly anxiety. You must empty your shaking hands completely today. This is the great transfer of responsibility heaven has planned for you. As long as you try to save yourself, I am forced to step back and watch you struggle. But the moment you completely collapse in total surrender, my supernatural provision immediately takes over. I need you to step out of the driver's seat of your life right now. You are totally exhausted because you were never designed to drive. Letting go of control feels incredibly terrifying to a survivor like you. Your trauma tells you that if you stop hustling for even one day, you will instantly starve and lose everything. Your mind screams that surrender is incredibly lazy and irresponsible. But that screaming voice is just the dying breath of your old slave identity. The cycle breaker must learn to stand perfectly still in the storm. The compression around your finances is about to release with massive force. The agonizing threshold you are standing on is finally resolving today. But this massive breakthrough requires a very specific posture from you. You can no longer act like a desperate orphan begging for a temporary job. You must violently reject the poverty mindset that has infected your bloodline for generations. It ends with you. There is one specific mandate you need to activate the flow of eternal wealth. The enemy desperately hoped you would never learn this hidden secret. He wanted you to keep running on the hamster wheel of endless labor until your body completely gave out. But before this message ends, I am going to place a specific key into your tired hands. This key will permanently unlock the vault of your inheritance. I need your complete and undivided attention for this next phase. Do not let any worldly distraction pull you away from this sacred room. I want you to literally put your hand over your racing heart right now. Feel the heavy and exhausted beat of a chest that has carried too much pain. You have fought an incredibly brave battle, but your lonely war is officially over today. You are about to sign the most important spiritual contract of your life. This is where you officially resign from the terrible job of being your own provider. I am asking you to step off the ledge of your understanding and fall backward into my grace. It requires absolute trust to stop forcing a paycheck into existence. You must trust that the safety net of heaven is actually there to catch you. Listen closely now, because I speak with a heavy weight of authority. The days of you crying over unpaid bills and begging for interviews are dead and gone. I am ripping the heavy yoke of earthly labor off your bleeding neck. The transition is going to shock everyone who thought they knew your story. They expected you to slowly fail and lose everything, but heaven has a completely different script for you. You are standing at the massive door of the arrival season right now. The locks have already been broken and the path is perfectly clear. But you cannot walk through this holy door while carrying the heavy chains of a corporate slave. You must leave your desperate need for a regular job entirely behind you. Take one final deep breath, because the absolute truth of your new reality is about to be revealed. I am officially stripping you of your beggar garments right now. You have worn the heavy rags of a petitioner for far too long. You thought that crying harder would make me move faster. But your tears were watering a dead field, and the harvest you were begging for was never going to grow there. You have been standing at the wrong counter trying to earn what is already yours. That painful transaction is over. You are leaving the court of the desperate today. A petitioner stands outside the gates and begs for a tiny scrap of bread. They bargain with their sweat and promise to work until they drop. but you are not a slave in your Father's house. You are the chosen one of the Most High. And an heir does not beg for a weekly paycheck when they already own the entire massive estate. You must change your posture immediately. You must rise completely above the daily panic. I need you to permanently destroy the transactional religion that taught you to grovel. You thought you had to perform perfectly to secure a blessing. You believed that if you suffered enough, heaven would finally pay you back. That is a toxic lie from the enemy. Your intense suffering is absolutely not a currency that I will ever accept at my royal table. I do not want your desperate labor anymore. I want your complete and radical trust. Stand up straight right now and square your tired shoulders. Lift your heavy head because the crown of authority belongs to you. You are the cycle breaker who will permanently end the poverty in your bloodline. You are absolutely not a victim of a bad economy. You are a royal citizen of a kingdom that knows no lack, and your inheritance is completely secure forever. Own this glorious truth today. You are a master of divine resources. Every time you desperately try to find a regular job, you are insulting your massive inheritance. You are telling heaven that a worldly employer is a better provider than God. I want you to completely sever that toxic connection right now. Stop looking down at the muddy ground for a handful of coins. Look up at the open vault above you. The entire spiritual universe is simply waiting for you to boldly speak your specific command. Your financial breakthrough is fully authorized and signed in blood. The massive wealth transfer is already moving toward your house, but it requires you to stand in absolute confidence. You cannot catch a massive miracle if your hands are busy holding onto a tiny resume. You must boldly step into the room as the rightful heir. You must claim what was specifically written for you before time even began. It is already yours. The days of you calculating pennies in the dark are permanently finished. The agonizing season of performing innocence and begging for chances is completely dead. You are stepping into a beautiful realm where divine provision actively chases you down. You do not have to hunt for opportunities anymore, because the ultimate blessing has been looking for you this entire time. Let that incredible reality sink deep into your tired bones. The heavy struggle is completely over. You never have to apologize for resting ever again. You do not have to feel guilty when you sit in silence. Your holy silence is actually the most powerful weapon you possess. While you rest in total surrender, the warrior angels of wealth are violently restructuring your daily reality. Your only remaining job is to completely trust this divine process. You are being positioned for extreme and sudden financial favor. Do not block it with fear. The enemy is terrified because he sees the massive crown being placed on your head. He knows he cannot manipulate a king or a queen with the fear of unpaid bills. The heavy chains of the working class have permanently fallen off your wrists. You are totally free from the matrix of basic survival. The old version of you who begged for work is entirely gone. The warrior of wealth is waking up inside your soul today. Do not shrink back into your old habits when the pressure tries to return tomorrow. Stand incredibly firm in your powerful new identity. You are about to hear the ultimate decree that changes your financial destiny forever. The ancient vault of heaven is unlocking right now. Prepare your fragile heart for the massive revelation that will completely rewrite your entire future. The great and beautiful shift is finally here. I am speaking the final decree over your life right now, and I need you to listen to the absolute truth of heaven. You have carried the heavy burden of your own survival for far too long. You thought it was your responsibility to keep your family fed and safe, but I am permanently removing that heavy yoke from your tired shoulders today. You are stepping into the glorious light of absolute freedom. Hear this massive revelation and let it shake your soul. From now on, it is God's duty. It is no longer your job to force a paycheck into existence. It is my divine responsibility to aggressively provide for my royal heir, because the creator of the entire universe has officially taken over your financial accounts. You do not need to look for an earthly employer ever again. This is the beautiful beginning of richness forever. I am opening a massive floodgate of supernatural wealth that will never run dry. The tiny streams of worldly income are completely obsolete now. You are entering a sacred economy where money simply flows toward you without any exhausting labor, and your endless days of crying over unpaid bills are permanently deleted. You will wake up tomorrow morning with a radically different mind. When the panic tries to return and tell you to search for a job, you will gently smile. You will boldly declare that your provision is completely handled by heaven. You are the cycle breaker who finally learned how to stand perfectly still, and you will watch the massive blessings chase you down in broad daylight. I am commanding the hidden wealth of the world to find your address. People you do not even know will feel an overwhelming urge to bless your life. Incredible opportunities will knock on your door while you are simply resting in your own home. You do not have to perform or beg for these massive miracles, because they belong to you simply due to the fact that you are my beloved child. Walk with the undeniable pride of a true king or queen today. Let your chest fill with the glorious confidence of absolute victory. The dark enemy who tried to starve you out is watching your incredible rise in pure terror. He knows he cannot stop the massive avalanche of prosperity pouring over your bloodline, and your total vindication is finally here for everyone to clearly see. Every single debt you currently hold is being supernaturally erased. I am wiping the heavy slate completely clean for your new season. You will have so much overflow that you will easily fund the dreams of everyone around you. You are transitioning from a desperate survivor into a massive distributor of heavenly wealth, while the agonizing drought is over and the eternal rain has begun. You are stepping into a profound season of unmerited favor. You will walk into rooms and instantly receive what others worked decades to build. The heavy doors of extreme wealth are swinging wide open for you right now. You do not need a resume or a glowing recommendation to enter these sacred halls, because my holy presence is the only ultimate credential you will ever need to succeed. This is exactly why I had to block your desperate search for a tiny paycheck. I could not let you settle for pennies when I was preparing a massive vault of gold. The painful delay was just the necessary time it took to build your massive estate. You survived the bitter wilderness, and you never lost your faith, so now you get to enjoy the incredible milk and honey of the promised land. Do not ever look back at your old life of poverty again. You are permanently sealed inside a divine covenant of absolute abundance. Richness forever is not just a beautiful promise, but it is your complete new daily reality. You will never have to beg or scrape for survival as long as you breathe, because the heavy work is totally finished, and from now on it is God's duty to sustain you. Now I need you to pause exactly where you are. Stop everything else you are doing. Unclench your jaw right now. Let your heavy shoulders fall completely down. You have carried some incredibly heavy things in this message today, and the intensity of this massive revelation has flooded your nervous system. But the highest peak of the mountain has been reached. It is time to safely come down. Take one very slow and deep breath in. Hold it for just a moment, and now slowly let it out. Exhale all of the ancient anxiety that has lived in your chest. Feel the heavy armor physically falling off your tired back, because you do not need to fight a brutal war today. The unseen battle is completely over, and you are standing on the victorious side. Let your body physically recognize this safety. Your nervous system has been locked in a terrifying survival mode for years. You have been bracing for the next piece of bad news every single day. But look around your quiet room right now. Nothing is attacking you. You are completely safe inside this divine sanctuary. The dangerous storm has officially passed over your house, and you can finally stop guarding your heart so fiercely. If the tears are falling right now, do not try to wipe them away. Let them flow freely. Those are not tears of bitter sadness or deep frustration anymore. They are the beautiful tears of total relief. Your soul is washing away decades of cruel poverty and toxic shame. Every single drop is a physical release of the heavy pressure you carried for your entire family. You are being completely cleansed. You might feel a strange emptiness in your hands right now. That is simply because the heavy tools of your worldly labor have been taken away. You are no longer holding a desperate resume or a stack of unpaid bills. Your hands are completely empty so they can properly receive the massive wealth coming toward you. Do not try to pick your heavy burdens back up. Leave them on the floor forever. Notice how the frantic racing of your heart has completely slowed down. The suffocating tightness in your throat is finally gone. This is the profound physical sensation of absolute surrender. This is what it feels like when the Creator of the universe takes over your daily duty. You are experiencing the beautiful peace that completely bypasses earthly understanding. You will sleep so incredibly well tonight. For the first time in many years, you will not stare at the dark ceiling and calculate your debts. You will close your eyes with the absolute certainty that your tomorrow is perfectly handled. The warrior angels are standing guard over your bank accounts right now, and you can completely trust the divine security system that surrounds your life. I want you to gently open your hands and rest them on your lap. Turn your palms facing upward toward the sky. This is the exact physical posture of a rightful heir. You are not reaching out to desperately grab or fiercely manipulate your circumstances, but you are simply resting in an open position of pure readiness. You are waiting for the gold to drop directly into your relaxed hands. There is absolutely nothing left for you to figure out today. You do not need to construct a clever plan to survive the upcoming week. The divine blueprint is already drawn and fully funded. Your only remaining task is to simply exist and allow yourself to be incredibly loved by heaven. Let the gentle waves of this holy peace wash over your tired mind again and again. You came into this moment feeling completely broken and terrified of the future. You thought my long silence meant you were being harshly punished. But now the dark fog has lifted completely, and you know the glorious truth about your wealth. The heavy anxiety that gripped your chest 10 minutes ago has been totally washed away by my eternal peace. The vault is open, and the ultimate victory is yours. If this beautiful sanctuary has completely bound your deep wounds today, it is time for us to make our final holy agreement. You are no longer a desperate beggar crying quietly outside the gates. You are the royal heir confidently stepping into your massive estate. And every legal inheritance requires a physical signature to finalize the incredible transfer of wealth. I need you to officially sign your divine paperwork today. Leave the word Amen below as the first stroke of your royal signature. Or you can write the numbers 777 to permanently seal this prophetic word. When you type those specific numbers, you are loudly declaring perfect provision over your entire bloodline, while simultaneously destroying the spirit of poverty. You are telling the spiritual realm that you fully accept your new duty of resting. You are closing the heavy door on the miserable days of begging. Now, I want you to look closely at the beautiful altar we have faithfully built in this quiet and sacred space. You came here feeling completely destroyed, and heaven has faithfully restored your peace. If this specific message has truly fed your starving spirit today, I invite you to gently honor the altar we built. Kindly plant a financial seed through the Super Thanks button directly below this video. This is absolutely not a transaction to buy your miracle. You cannot purchase what is already freely yours. It is a physical decree that you completely trust the massive harvest coming. When you give from a place of absolute peace, you prove that the spirit of poverty no longer controls you. You show the enemy that you are not terrified of losing your resources anymore. You are officially acting like the wealthy master of your own domain. Plant your seed today and watch the windows of heaven rapidly open over your household. The heavy season of brutal isolation is permanently breaking off you right now. But heaven always works through deep and meaningful connection. Someone in your phone contacts is currently staring blankly at their glowing screen. They are completely terrified of tomorrow, and they are crying over their unpaid bills exactly like you were just an hour ago. You must use your own hands to be their miraculous rescue tonight. Pass this specific message on to them immediately. When you share my word with a broken friend, you literally save a fragile soul from falling into deep despair. You become a massive distributor of the exact same divine comfort that healed your heart. Share it right now and multiply the glorious grace. When you send this to someone in desperate need, you set the beautiful law of heavenly multiplication into immediate motion. What you freely give to others will return to you multiplied 100 times. And I also need you to completely secure your ongoing connection to this prophetic frequency. Gently press the subscribe button so the dark enemy cannot block your beautiful future. You must ensure that my next word reaches your feed before your old habits of intense fear return tomorrow morning. The enemy loves to completely isolate the chosen one from their living water. But when you subscribe, you build an invisible fortress around your daily peace. You protect the precious seeds we have planted together. You are completely safe here in my holy presence. The incredibly heavy burden of earthly survival has been permanently lifted from your tired shoulders. From this exact moment forward, it is my divine duty to carefully provide everything you and your family will ever need. Rest your mind completely and let your body heal from the bitter years of labor. The glorious era of richness forever has officially begun in your life today. You will never have to hunt for a miserable job or beg for chances again. The endless wealth of the divine kingdom is flowing directly toward your completely open hands. Step quietly into your absolute victory today, and please always remember that you are loved far beyond any earthly measure.